Breaking story, a terrifying drama in the heart of Sydney this afternoon. Less than an hour ago, parts of the CBD were put into lockdown after reports a man was running through the streets with a machete. A man was taken into custody a short time later after being tackled by very brave members of the public. One woman is confirmed to have been stabbed in the back. It's unclear if anyone else has been injured. Some buildings have been put into lockdown. Numerous city streets remain closed. This all happening as the lunchtime crowds were heading back to their offices. I understand that we can go to 9 News reporter Ruth Wynn Williams, who is at the scene. She can bring us up to date with what has unfolded in the last 40 minutes or so. Afternoon, Ruth.
Afternoon, Pete. I'm at the corner of King and York Street, right in the centre of Sydney this afternoon, and this area is in lockdown. People inside the hotel CBD behind me are still shut inside. Pete, they've been in there for some time after what we understand was a stabbing right outside that pub in the middle of the Sydney sunshine today. What we understand is that bystanders rushed to the aid of a woman who was stabbed while she was sitting outside the hotel here. She was sitting in those seats just outside the hotel. By what we are hearing was a man in a balaclava carrying a large machete. Now, this area is still in lockdown, Pete. People can't go past the hotel this afternoon. The other side of the hotel is shut as well, and there are a number of police, ambulance and fire vehicles around that side, with a full contingent of police spread right through the CBD this afternoon. As you can imagine, this did cause widespread panic through the city this afternoon as people tried to work out what was going on. There were initial fears, Pete, that this could be a terror attack here in the CBD, but at this stage that is unconfirmed.
OK, Ruth, we just have a release through from New South Wales Police. Let me read it to you as we look at these pictures. A man is in custody after allegedly stabbing a woman in the CBD of Sydney this afternoon. About 2 o'clock, emergency services responded following reports a man was walking along York Street armed with a knife. As police made their way to the location, there were multiple reports the man had stabbed someone near the corner of King and Clarence Streets. Police and ambulance paramedics located a woman inside the hotel. That's the hotel CBD. She had a stab wound. She's been taken to hospital. Condition is stable. A short time later, members of the public, as we have seen in this vision right now, detained the man before police arrived and arrested him. Detained him by putting a milk crate over his head and 2 chairs to subdue him. A young-looking man who's taken away by New South Wales Police there. He is currently at the Day Street Police Station. Officers from Sydney City Police Area Command plus specialist police are now conducting proactive patrols. But this is the good news. It is believed, this is from the police, there is no further threat to public safety. Is that there's going to be a New South Wales Police media conference? Is that ready to go?
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your attendance here today. Obviously, it's been well reported that around about 2 o'clock this afternoon, there's been an incident in the city around York Street, which is in close proximity to where I stand, where a male offender has produced a knife, and as a result of the production of that knife, a female victim, a female member of the public, has been stabbed. There's been, again, subsequent to that stabbing, a number of attempted stabbings by the same offender. And bear in mind, we have multiple crime scenes and we're in the infancy stage of this investigation. It's a serious and significant investigation, which I want to put out there, but I also want to put out there, most importantly, the threat has been negated. That male offender, which we will be alleging is responsible for the shooting, is now in custody. Sorry, the stabbing, I retract that. I'll repeat that again. So the male offender responsible for the stabbing is in custody. What I can conclusively say is that male offender was on his own and there's no other person complicit at this stage. So the threat to the community has been negated, and I want to make that very, very clear. I also want to make it clear we are in the infancy stage of the stabbing investigation. There are a number of crime scenes. They are being thoroughly investigated by criminal investigative and forensic staff as we speak, and the investigation is ongoing. The arrest of the offender happened in very close proximity to where I stand, where a number of members of the public actually physically restrained the offender. And I want to acknowledge those people, those members of the public who got involved. They were brave, and I can only use that word seriously. They were significantly brave people. To approach a person with the mindset of obviously what this person did, with clear evidence of a stabbing previously. These people are heroes, and I want to acknowledge that. They are now helping us with our inquiries, as are a number of people and a number of members of the community. As I said, the investigation is in its infancy. There's a lot to be done.
Where did the first stabbing happen?
I would agree with that. Again, these people, these members of the public, going about their day-to-day business, have jumped into a situation which was extremely dangerous, extremely hostile, and they have brought a person who we will be alleging has stabbed an innocent person for no specific reason into custody and allowed us to do our job. Well, the terminology that you made reference to is something that's been reported to me. Again, we haven't captured that as an evidentiary base. It's certainly part of our investigation, and we'll be using that as we move forward. But most definitely there's been some commentary along with the actions of the stabbing.
You mentioned a few other people have been injured in attempted stabbings. Do you know how many and what those injuries are?
Multiple. There are no other injuries at this stage I can confirm. What I can say is, clearly, is that the offender, what we'll be alleging, has attempted to stab multiple people. Those attempts, thankfully, are unsuccessful. But again, I will put on record, we have a female person with a stab wound to the back, currently being treated by paramedics, and is en route to Sydney Hospital.
Do you know the condition?
We don't know the causation or the rationale for his actions today. Again, it's part of the investigation as we move forward. It would appear at this stage as unprovoked. However, we're keeping a very open mind as we move forward.
We'll wind it up there, guys. We'll wind it up at the moment.
The woman's condition, from what I understand, is certainly not life-threatening, and that's all I can offer at this stage.
OK, that was Superintendent Gavin Wood there speaking to media.
Of a witness, someone who was in the CBD and saw all of this unfold. That man's recounting of what happened has just come into us in the newsroom. Let's take a listen to what he saw.
I think he had a balaclava on, jumped on a car, wielding the knife with blood on it, and we're like, wow, what is going on here? So we immediately, all of us went down the escalator, and we just continued to chase the guy, where other people were just kind of like going away because obviously he's wielding a knife. Like, I don't know whether it's an instinct thing or what, but we was like, right, we just got to kind of try and restrain this guy from doing any more. And my brother and I just ran across here. These boys followed, and we managed to get a grip along with another guy, and we've got a grip of him and restrained him fully. We just waited for the cops to come. He's got blood all over him.
I was out the front. A few people then sort of ran up, and I grabbed them. I took them inside our office because the door's locked, and then we just stayed off the street. I didn't want to risk it.
You kept them safe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
A little shaken up. A little shaken up, but it's not something you expect to see in Sydney.
OK, that was witness reports and one of the heroes in the clap, one of the heroes.
That's right. I mean, that was one of the guys that we've been seeing in that vision for the last hour or so. He was one of the guys who was holding down that man. He said he was wearing a balaclava. He said he was holding a knife which had blood on it, and has really told of his heroics holding down that man, and to have that bravery, that just not to run away, but instead run towards the danger and hold that man down is really incredible stuff. And that was one of those many people there in the CBD this afternoon who really have turned this story around. It could have been a very, very different story indeed, Pete.
You're spot on, Lizzie. They've turned it around. It's had a good outcome with no fatalities. Just one patient too many, of course. We wish it didn't happen in the first place. And then the public stepping in and stepping up. And that's the thing, because it's fight or flight. And they decided to fight. And they brought this human being down, this abhorrent human being who has wreaked such havoc in the city this afternoon. As we say, it appears his intent was not just one person but multiple victims, and you could just you look at him and you look how you just got a feeling, haven't you, Lizzie, that was his intent.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that's what police have said in that police media briefing that we saw just a couple of minutes ago, that he attempted to stab multiple people. This man wanted to inflict carnage this afternoon. He wanted to have more than one victim. He stabbed one woman in the back who was sitting down at the hotel CBD, and she's the one that we saw in that vision earlier. We are assuming being loaded onto a stretcher and put in the back of an ambulance, taken to St Vincent's Hospital, where we are hearing she's in a stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries. Police have also said that at this stage, the cause or rationale behind this man's behaviour this afternoon is something that they are still investigating. They say, though, it was unprovoked, but they are keeping an open mind as to what was behind this frightening attack this afternoon in Sydney's